Oh, I'm live. Okay. So really, don't worry about this thing. Ooh, this thing. Oh, I need to share screen because I am trying to do this. How you do? I don't know how to do this. I thought I. That's something you gotta do beforehand. Oh, there it is. Okay. Entire screen over here. Share. Okay. Now I'm back to what I was trying to do, and that's about all I can do. Uh, where's my other? My computer's a little slow, so it's doing too much with two screens and streaming and all of that jazz. But whatever. All right, I don't need that there. All right, so I'm looking at today. Today is your day, bro. All right, today's Wednesday, so there's no major announcements. Do I even have that check-in sheet? Where's my morning check-in sheet? Or check. But anyway, I got the sites here, so I'm looking here in case there's anything, any big companies doing stuff today. Procter and Gamble's doing a deal. Earnings report, they were over what they were supposed to be. Abbott Labs, and really, he said the 500 billion is the most you worry about because I mostly do with futures. Um, Let me slow this down. It's distracting. But what I mostly do with futures is indexes, and the indexes are affected mostly, or the most effect that any of these companies here with the earnings is going to be really, really big companies. So $500 million or $500 billion to really move one of the indices. The indices, I'll show you those four here in a minute because that was what I had up on the screen originally, which is the NASDAQ, the Dow, the Russell 2000, and then the NASDAQ round. Oh, and the S&P 500. Um, but yeah, so we look at the pre-market, bada boom, kind of see what was happening overnight because I have stopped myself from doing the thing where I'll watch the thing all night long and everything, trying to always know because you got to know the market. And it's like, no, you don't. It's like I get up in the morning, I look this stuff up. I'll won't go over my struggles, but it looks like futures are up, minis up, so it looks like the Russell's down, the Nasdaq. Europe was up. Those are all of their indices. Um, and really, to be honest about it, I'm not exactly sure what I'm looking at when I'm looking there is much more than that. It's just to kind of see is everything green or everything red. Like this is where we're going to be today, because like, and we'll look at it when we can look at it directly on the chart. But yeah, you just look at I'm looking to see if there's anything crazy happening, I guess is what it is. So, um, like I say, Europe, whatever happened yesterday, um, positive, not necessarily that that is a positive response to what happened yesterday, but all of their markets are up. Though I again don't know, but the Asia Pacific, you got these indices all kind of mixed. In that news story that I saw when I flipped over, it said that Trump was talking about doing a 10% tariff on China, which I could imagine that affecting their indices and how they're why they're kind of mixed over there. So, and then the commodities, and I don't know why I came back over here other than to just kind of look at them more and figure out why they matter. But yeah, this is the Russell 2000. Interesting because I thought I saw, yeah, there's NASDAQ and the Russell there. I don't know why they had that twice. Oh, those are the minis. So those are the four right there, which looks like Russell's going to be the weakest of the three. And just from looking at this, the Dow, I'm going to guess we're looking at the Dow or the NASDAQ. And that's going to be where we end up looking. And then any news, like I said, Trump considering a 10% tariff on China as soon as February 1st. So, like a week from now, there could be a tariff on China. So, yeah, that's going to affect their markets. That Netflix affects the 500 and the Nasdaq futures because the S&P 500 is basically all of those indexes look at a group of stocks and how those stocks are doing, and that's what gives them their uh, what's what I'm looking for. Yeah, that's what gives them the power. That's what gives the power to those big companies, like I was saying, because like the S&P is 500 different companies, so it might be that one. Not I just throw something out like Microsoft and not necessarily all tech companies because it's the S&P 500. So it's going to have Harley Davidson, let's say, Target, Walmart, that kind of stuff. So it's going to have all of those, but knowing that one of the bigger ones and they're weighted in some way, like by how big they are, I believe it is. But obviously, if one of them has really good news, like Netflix pops after earnings beat, so they made more money than they had projected, and that sends the whole party going. Trump orders all federal diversity, equity, and inclusion employees placed on paid leave starting Wednesday. Starting Wednesday. I don't know how that's defined. Mm. Okay. Yeah, I don't know how that's defined. That's going to be the key. I just said last night with the thing where we was talking about. I was listening to this cat talking about not letting this stuff get you, not letting this stuff be. Yeah, not letting this stuff get you shook because we got to work through. And the thing of it is, we truly have been through this. We've been through, I can't say we've been through worse because we ain't been through nothing yet. But the fact of the matter is, we've been through worse. And whatever's coming in the next 4 years, I mean, shit, because slavery is not going to happen. Is there a way to edit that shit out of here, man? Just for 2 months. This is why. All right. Let me just keep on moving, and let's look at these markets. This is those indices and what they all look like right now. Um, and all I can do, whew, shake my mind. What is that beeping? All right. 5 minutes. Yeah, that kind of shook my mind for a second. All right. See here. Yeah, looking at them, seeing where your strongest is, and it's interesting because I said that yeah, the Nasdaq is kind of straight upward. This the S&P has had some dips up. This has been much more. It's funny how just moving the thing can adjust how they look. So that's always a part of it. And I don't know. I have to find out if there's a way to make sure they're all at the same orientation right there, because I think that one thing showed the Russell as the only one that was red. I don't remember that now. Yeah, yeah. Dow, S&P, Nasdaq, and that's the Russell. I think that's the Russell. It don't say Russell. Oh no, it just says oil. Look. What did they say? Oh, it's pretty much. Yep, Russell's the only one going down. And as I look at the three or four together, although the Russell is the only one, is the weakest of the three, I don't see it as a short. All right, there's part of my problem. Running at the hour. Okay, let's see. Because it's good to get some. What's where I'm looking for perspective on where it's been. Because you see, when you're looking at it one way, it looks like, wow, this is really, really straight up high. But then you go, okay, wait, it's been a full, you know, it's been a full, that's 29, 21.9. It's been as high as 22.5. So that's 600 points that it could go up still before it's at, that all time high point or whatever. But you don't necessarily see that. And then there's some structure concepts that uh, that you apply to this whole shebang. Where'd you go? like having those four on that one. So I will do it this one here because the structure comes in where you kind of look and see that there was buying going on here. Obviously, this is on a daily candle, and you can see that overall for that day it went up. It went down, but stayed within this range, right? You can see that um, because the candle represents where the price is at any given moment. Like if you look at this candle that is printing for today, it's so big because it started this. One of the reasons I like this is because it's like the newspaper, right? My day starts before you get up. This is actually started at 6 o'clock last night, or 5 o'clock last night is when the day begins, right? So this candle being green means that it started here and has risen this far. At some point, the candle was red because it had come down, but then pushed up overnight. So again, looking at the 24-hour cycle and looking at what we just looked at, the overnight, the different markets, Asian, European, and then back to the United States, right? So the Asian market is later in the evening. So again, when all those people, all that red that we saw on the Asian markets was happening, that stuff was going down because they have buyers in our markets as well. I mean, you could buy into their markets too. I don't know much about that. The markets are a huge ocean. I'm only looking at futures, which is in itself this huge, huge thing. That like in this program I'm in here, this is a funded trader program that I'm working on. Um, and these are all of the different markets that you could trade, right? So I know absolutely nothing about lean hogs in the market. So that's not something that I mess with. I don't even bother looking at those charts. You know, I don't even bother looking at those charts because that's not something I'm going to be able or have any real interest in even following along to or whatever, right? Because let me see here if I can figure out how to do this. I'm about to, well, I'll do it tomorrow because I'm about to run out of time here because I only got 10 more minutes. Um, but yeah, I've got to take, yeah, I know nothing about hogs. These are all the different markets that are available to you to trade. So I was talking about the ocean. I get sidetracked very easily. But yeah, the structure is, and how I'm looking at the price is this indicates that the market in this period, right, whatever that period is, because it can be any time frame. I could do days. I don't know if you can see what I'm up here doing. Yeah, I could look at the candles, could represent weeks, days, but yeah, well, look right there, you see it. Like this is a red candle for the week, and you can see it was made up of all those days where ultimately it went down, but there was a lot of indecision right there. And that's why I've got these little different deals drawn, right? Like I'm saying that for this week or this time period, and I call this a base, right? Because this is a base where we're having that battle. I was like, what are we going to do? Are we going to go higher because we've been moving? And then there are people saying, yes, let's go. And then others say no. And then others say, and that happens over a variety of reasons. Because remember, we're talking about the entire world because I just was talking about how the Asian markets, and then the European markets, and then there's our markets, and then all of that kind of stuff. Well, on top of that, that is what that means is millions of people are making the decision to buy or sell. So some people got in right here and bought this here, and it went way up here. So they're like, I'm taking my money out right now because I just made double my money. I put it in here, it went up to here. I was like, yeah, and it went all the way up here. I'm taking my money. That way I can take it out and like realize the profit, right? Well, that creates a drop. And that's where some of this comes from, as well as people being like, I don't know, this is happening or that's happening, and who knows what's going to happen. And so it causes all of this activity. A report comes out. This is December 18th. I think that was a report. A report comes out, says we're not going to do as many cuts as we were thinking to do, or such and such company made more than they thought they were going to make, or didn't make as much as they thought they were going to make, and it affects the indexes in varying ways, right? And you see this stuff happen, and then you kind of make some decisions. Now, yeah, yeah. I've got a little marker here that shows me that's the 9 o'clock hour. When that 9 o'clock hour closed on a given day, this is where price was. And my thought theory, right, whatever, is that you kind of have a feel for what's going on, because often, and what happened here is it started here, and although it went down in that day, it made its way back up. It was trying to make its way back up. And I ain't trying to know what is happening before it happens. I'm just trying to figure it out and understand some of the things that I'm seeing. Like when you see this, right? Remember that the price started here on this particular candle. It started here, pushed its way down. At some point, it went all the way down, but then I say the universe, the market said, no, I'm pushing it back up. So this was just left as a shadow of what it once was. We call it a wick. And it came right back to where it started and continued to push, and the hour was over. But here at the next hour, it started and kept on going up. Well, at some point, again, these people were like, no, we want to go. And we said, listen, man, we are on our way. And they pushed up and they pushed up. They tried to go more, and then people were like, no, I don't want to go. And they pushed. And then the same thing is happening. And you have to visualize the motion of the price. And as you bring it down into smaller and smaller fields, you can then make some decisions about where you want to get in, where you want to try to make that play. A lot going through my head. Got to end this because I got to go to class.